embraced the cameras and lights, but this Bly wanted nothing to do with it. And when he went to the bar, it's just because he didn't want to study anymore. And he was stressed out. He just wanted a beer.
Right.
So he wasn't even very good at womanizing.
Well, I thought he was a combination of the two characters.
Combination. Oh, okay, I get it. Got it. And then Till Schweiger's just straight up Lauda.
Is just like the Lauda, and then Joe Tonto is just like the Shelby.
Yeah. I mean, if you think about it, Stallone wanted to make an F1 movie. This was originally about Ayrton Senna, who there's a 2010 documentary based. It's all stock footage. It was up for an Oscar, one of the best documentaries, which actually got me into racing at a very minor level. So he drew inspiration for F1. That's what Stallone wanted to do. So, I mean, the DNA of these characters has to belong somewhere in that of F1. You know what I mean, Vern?
You know what I mean, Vern?
No, yeah, I guess you're right. I mean, he does seem like a combination of the two.
But it's not like it's really, really strong. You know, it's just that there are so many subtle parallels. The fact that he's German and German Austrian from an American perspective does get very kind of melded together. I'll bet a lot of people watching this movie just thought he was German.
Yeah. Oh, in Rush or
in this, watching this.
Yeah.
A lot of Americans watching this probably just thought he's German.
Yeah.
You know, as opposed to our Austrian Lauda. But then just he's very focused. Lauda's very focused. He's running the track, that kind of thing. Just a lot of itty bitty little things. But these are also things that I would just see in a dedicated athlete, right? So at the same time, so that it's like I can see myself reaching, and I can see myself like putting the trace over the stencil and saying it matches up almost equally, like. I don't know.
You're like Mr. Fantastic with your reach right now, right?
Right. Maybe I'm reaching far. Maybe listeners are just shaking their head with their headphones on. It's like, John, where are you going with this, buddy?
Mark, stop.
King Kong fights a T-Rex. The King Kong movie is nothing like Jurassic Park, John.
Well, I see parallels in that because they go to an island, right? Monster Island.
Clearly influenced.
And Jurassic Park was at an island.
A tropical one.
A tropical island. And
multiple velociraptors fight T-Rex. Multiple T-Rexes fight Kong. Kong is the T-Rex against the T-Rexes.
Wow. Whoa. So the T-Rex is Kong. And Kong is the T-Rex.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, let that simmer. Oh, I just incepted all of our listeners.
What's the Jell-O from Jurassic Park? Remember on her spoon that's jiggling? What's the Jell-O in the Kong world?
The leeches. The swamp leeches that eat Andy Serkis's head.
Oh, wait. Those things were terrible.
Oh, they were horrifying, weren't they?
I was watching that scene, and the way it's scored, and just, I feel like it's in slow-mo watching these men get murdered by bugs.
And the giant Mormon crickets and those horrible leeches.
Jeez Louise. All right, John, I need to collect myself. Let's take a quick break, and when we come back, we'll talk more Driven. Welcome back to Movies, Films, and Flicks. And I gotta tell you, John, there's a scene where Stallone drives around the track, and he picks up 3/4 in his tires.
Oh, I love the scene!
When he parks, like lame turd boy Jimmy Bly, turd boy, what's that mean? He looks at him, he goes, only 2 tires? But he doesn't go around he doesn't turn the tire.
2 out of 3 ain't bad.
Yeah, but
it's like he was almost having a dumb moment. Like he should think better than that, than to think they'd all be in the same spot.
And then some guy turns the tire like, a little bit, and you see the third, and you're just thinking, did Bly not consider that?
That was like, but Bly had so many what I'll call young and dumb moments in this movie that even though he should know better about that, because that is specifically like raceology, if you will, right? But like knowing how the car works. But he has so many young and dumb moments in this that just stacked into him. And it made for a good cheeky scene, though. I think that scene, it still works better that way, even though it seems like stupidly written for Jimmy. Just because it gives you that cheeky moment where everyone else knew that he would get it and Jimmy just didn't think he'd get it. And by the way, that was also one of the few scenes that I thought was scored well. that holds up well. The kind of music that they used for this scene.
Yeah.
Every time that music starts and he's doing his thing and he stops and he flicks out the quarter, I love that scene. It's got a great energy as you were introduced to like the homestead, washed out, no longer racing Joe Tonto before he got the call. And then this is how you're introduced to Joe Tonto, the road tactician. And I love that. I love it. But yeah, the Jimmy thing was dumb.
It's a good way to build up him as a driver, though, with those quarters. And those are all one scene where he picked up the quarter was all digital. And I love hearing commentaries about digital effects from 1990. I listened to The Mummy. That's coming up. And there's a commentary where they said one of the shots took 2 years to film, the digital shots. Remember in Event Horizon? In the intro shot of the Event Horizon?
The slowly spiraling, closing in on the space station.
That took a year, and the guy quit the industry after finishing it.
God,
so, I mean, I love hearing about effects from 99 to 01 around that time.
But he retired as a champion, though.
I quit.
You know, the other thing I love about this scene, though, is that when the – what is he? He's like he's kind of like the crew manager.
Crusher.
He's explaining to Jimmy what he's going to do. It's like, yeah, he's going to drop a quarter at each of these points. Then he's going to do a controlled slide and pick him up, but not with the front tire. Any schmo can do that. He's going to do a controlled slide and pick it up with the rear tire. And Jimmy says, "Oh, that's impossible." He says, you don't want to bet me, son. Like, it was like the way he said it. It was so casual. No, you don't want to bet me. And I love everything about this whole scene. It all works so well for me, except for, again, that bit of young dumb that Jimmy has.
It just I like how it establishes the build. So, John, you and I have never watched IndyCar racing, but if we watch this, we would know just enough to annoy people who know about it. Is that like so? Does that mean like we're watching it like, oh, there's teams, and each team has 2 drivers, and if there's a fast driver, the other driver blocks. And sometimes you can do crazy pit moves, and it's not illegal to do that, what Sly did to Till Schweiger. You can do that. And then you have the wet tires. And then you have qualifying. Who qualifies first? Who qualifies second?
Their placement.
That's where they start. Oh, it's in 20 different racetracks around the world. And these are the fans who come to these races. So you're watching it, and I think that's where Renny Harlin really succeeds. Is you remember when they get to Japan 4 days before the race, and you just see them lounging around, studying on their computers. Till Schweiger's running, they're kind of relaxing, looking at their courses. Then you have the day with the buildup of you have the who gets the fastest lap, who can start first, and then you have the race. It's a very I'd say it gives you enough to be like, well, isn't it IndyCar that? And you could annoy somebody. But I like that. I learned about this stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And I got to tell you, man, what'd you think about the very mellow love triangle in this movie?
So, yeah, that was there. I think that, but maybe it's because of the way this was cut, like you said earlier, how so much stuff was cut out. But I view this movie as like 13 mildly tenuous interpersonal relationships.
Yeah.
Among them is the love triangle, right?
Yeah.
But none of them. Actually, the only real stressful one that we have is Joe and his ex-wife.
Yeah. Yep.
But no, yeah. So the love triangle, right? When it hits its crescendo, its highest intensity, where Till Schweiger. Where Bo Brandenburg is trying to get Sophia back, and Jimmy is all upset, even though Jimmy only got her to hang out with him by agreeing that we're just going to be friends.
Hang out? Yeah.
It was such a college age thing to do. Like, yeah, we're totally just friends. Oh God, I can't stand seeing it. She's going to leave with him. You know, it was, but even still, like, it didn't almost any other movie, any other filmmaker before or after the year 2001. That would have resulted in like a real big shoving match, someone getting into a fight, her getting upset with both of them. You know, the drama would have conflated.
Mm-hmm.
And this it didn't. Like you said, a very mellow love triangle.
And I like that after the big, they push each other once. Later on, Bly walks up to Bo. It's like, hey man, my bad.
Right.
Hey, I was out of line. Like, you guys have a lot of history. We weren't anything. My bad. Like, that's the end of it. And then they all stay friends. It's sort of refreshing, I would say. And just, If this is Fast and the Furious, fisticuffs would be thrown.
Well, I mean, this is them forming their Fast and Furious crew, right?
Yeah.
It's just that they never got that sequel. Because, I mean, just to show how tight they all stayed, is that in the end, when the brother manager pulls like a double cross on Jimmy, and he's trying to help, oh God, what is Burt Reynolds' character's name?
I got it up here. It is Carl Henry.
When he's trying to help Carl book Bo for next year, right? Anything to win. Then Bo evidently tells Sophia. Sophia warns them, and then they screw the manager together. So like they're all really like high-fiving it at the end, right? Like they really are like building their crew. It's almost like Fast 5 where, wait, are we? Oh no, we're all cool at the end. Oh, here we are in Fast 6 and now we're all part of the crew. Like that's what Driven 2 would have been. It would have been all them fighting crime together.
I love what Ebert had to say. He's like, there's no villains, there's a shoving match over the girl, but no real fights, and afterward a character actually apologizes. I mentioned that all the characters are nice, except for Gershon, who sticks to being angry and a stubborn show of integrity, which I loved he said that. The feel-good ending is a masterpiece, even in a season where no audience can be allowed to exit without reassurance. There's an endless happy closing montage at a victory celebration with hugs and champagne and all. And I like that. Oh, and all the characters smile at all the other characters, and outstanding disagreements are resolved with significant little odds. But I dug that, right? That was nice.
I think that the antagonist in this movie is Jimmy Bly's struggle with his coming into adulthood and a high-stress athlete stature.
And with people pushing you, the brother who, I guess he had a failed career, but he pushed him so hard because, why did he push him so hard? That's what he thought was best?
It seemed like, well, I get the idea that he just, when he saw how much better his younger brother was than him at this, that he just always had his back and that just became his life.
Yeah.
But sometimes that's kind of a crutch for not being good at anything else.
And then even, like, he gets punched in the nose, and Bly's going to make up with his brother. You think?
Probably. Because he came out the winner, I think he will.
Oh, yeah, that's true. And it's such a nice ending.
I like it. Maybe like in my head, like from my youth, this movie was like a 9 or a 10 for fun factor. Mm-hmm. And now it's like, whatever. It's still a fun movie though. Now it's like a 7 or a 6 on the fun factor, but I still enjoy watching it. It still like makes me smile while I'm sitting there on my living room couch watching it for the second time in a week. I'm still smiling at the same scenes, nodding my head. Like, I don't know, like in the Joe Tonto scene when he's, again, the 3/4, nothing but smiles on my face. Yeah. Like the whole time, like I feel it on my face. So again, I think the movie succeeds at that, even if it didn't succeed at the box office. And yeah, like sometimes the victory feels bigger when you overcame a bad guy. But I think that this movie had me feeling good through a lot of it. Because when you're facing the bad guy, sometimes you have to come out of a chasm to reach that acme.
Yeah. I have a question. I had a good question for you.
This is a feel-good movie.
It is I was finishing the ending of this, and it made me very happy just watching those guys up there shooting each other with champagne. Everyone was happy.
Yeah.
Relationships were mended. Memo's okay. I gotta tell you, though, that scene where Memo's car rolls for about 45 seconds and then explodes through a tree. I mean, we're talking a cataclysmic explosion through a tree, and then he lands in the water. I laughed because that's one of the most unnecessarily large explosions I've ever seen.
It was cool. That was like the one major action part of it. I like the slow-mo of the car in the air before the car starts to lower and then another car hits it and then it's like it just like launches it like it got trebucheted.
Pinball.
Like it goes from slow-mo to trebuchet launch, right? Yeah. Like I was just like, yes. Oh shit, is Memo okay?
And Memo's such a nice guy in this. And they go to save him. I really dug that Bly and Bastian Schweinsteiger. Wait, no, that's a soccer player. I just called Till Schweiger Bastian Schweinsteiger, who's one of my favorite soccer players. He played for Bayern Munich, Manchester United, then he went to Chicago Fire and he won a World Cup with Germany. That's a mistake. But I liked how I don't think Sly needed to be in that rescue scene. I like that they went in there and got him. But Memo's plan. Okay, so we learned in the beginning that Memo wasn't playing nice with Bly, correct?
I think it's just that he wasn't a team player. I think he's a race car driver and he didn't like being told to not be a good race car driver as opposed to a team member.